I was thinking, how middle class are you? I was wondering how middle class I am, and then I realised it's obvious. Very middle class. That's the end of the video. No, but I guess if you're watching this, there's a good chance you're middle class too, and that's because most people, at least in the Western world, are now middle class. Back in days of old, when you were one of the lucky few if you were working for Ebenezer Scrooge or even prancing about town trying to get tuberculosis, the difference between classes was clear. Working people were mucky and more often than not illiterate, and constantly calling people gavner and asking them if they wanted their shoes shined, and middle class people were educated and worked clerical jobs or specialised roles, or if they were part of the gentry, their job description would be owns houses, drinks sherry. And they weren't upper class because they weren't born upper class, a crucial difference between the UK and the US. In the US, I feel that there certainly are prestigious families going back generations, but in the UK, those families can now be dirt poor and they're still better than Johnny Pleb because they've got the Battle of Hastings and haemophilia in their blood. It used to be kind of similar for the middle class, who your parents were mattered, but now that's gone the same way as every TV show I've ever liked, into shit. That's not to say that the class system is good. In fact, the only compelling argument I've ever heard when people are told they'll always be chimney sweeps or aquafortists or any ye old jobby is that they don't feel like worthless underachievers if they don't win an Oscar, become a billionaire or live life to the max like some coked up hummingbird because they're stuck into one place. They have no social mobility, but they don't expect any. Nowadays, everyone can be anything, and if you're a 30-year-old shoeshine, it's because you didn't try hard enough, didn't have the academic gifts, didn't really want to progress, and not at all because you didn't go to the right private school, were born into an unremarkable average family, or failed to suck the right proverbial or indeed literal cock. Ain't that right, Colin Farrell? Look it up. Used to be, if you used your hands, you were a blue-collar type toiling in a boring and back-breaking job, but lots of these jobs are highly skilled now. Sure, if you fixed carts for a living back in the day, you were working class, but mechanics are skilled artisans. To be an electrician, you've got to study for a long time. Christ, you can't even hang a picture without setting up a laser targeting system, and technical skills are indicative of belonging to the middle class. Sure, the working class still exists. There are still people who are paid to move bricks up and down scaffolding or wash pots in restaurants where they charge $70 for mincemeat, but those people, or at least their children, do have a chance of one day quaffing down Schiller at lunchtime with other Skoda owners who at some point are going to be eaten alive by their mortgages. Even though there's a disparity in education, and no doubt, look at Britain, there's a scintillating disparity of privately educated toffs and a reverse correlation of the distribution of chins in the Westminster upper echelons, don't you know, and it's there to stay. But a manual worker's kid in the UK, and maybe a little more so than in the US thanks to a somewhat generous or rather more widely exploited grant system, does have at least some opportunity to get a degree. Maybe not an equal opportunity, but a better one than Tiny Tim, not because his parents weren't middle class, they were, but because he's dead. So I guess now, and more so in countries that aren't the UK and maybe India, both still kind of ruled by caste, although not at all, wink wink, class is basically how much money you have, or are pretending to have, supporting a sparkling facade of AI utilising washing machines, Japanese Mercedes, and the house you bought for 7 times its actual worth. Are you middle class? Well, do you write a lot of lists? Oh no, wait, that's my how much of a woman are you list. Wait, what? Do you buy organic blueberries or olive oil that's 10 times the price of gasoline? Or use the word compote but don't work in a sperm bank? Then you could be middle class. Do you shit in a bucket in the corner of your room, clean your teeth with coal, and go to McDonalds 3 times a week? Then you could be mentally deranged. You know, everything American I found about assessing how middle class you are was all about how many people lived in your property and the total household income and things that are actually useful. All the shit I found from British sources were hack journalists who'd been assigned the task of making 10-question quizzes on a slow day, consisting of questions like, do you use the word Brillo? Do you wear a flat cap? Are you middle class? Could we as a nation possibly appear more quaint to foreigners? I made the last one up. Your garden variety British hack has no concept of foreigner perception, those middle class twats. But that essentially illustrates the difference entirely. You can call the US materialistic in its judging class on income and wealth, but at least it doesn't care about the sort of person you are. Sure, I might say, oh gosh, and wear chinos and a smoking jacket and hang out with a Siamese cat. But I also live in the woods and feast on the blood of my prey. And my income consists of whatever I catch as I eat, so am I middle class? And I suppose if anyone ever asks you that, the correct response is fuck off. So, in response to my original question, fuck off. Me? Just a thought. Of course, my father is a member of the House of Lords, but I don't think that's here or there.